Everybody, welcome back to the channel. As always, want to say hello and thank you to the new subscribers. Your support of the channel is greatly appreciated. So here we go, assembly of the tunnel system. So let's start off right at the front of the tunnel. You've gotten your tunnel portal. You shouldn't have any need to use any adhesive to attach the finish inlay panel. It's quite a tight fit, it just snaps in. However, once you've got this all painted up and you're going to attach it to the layout, you can use a medium or a heavy CA or even some silicone just down here on the two bottom edges, and then set that down onto the layout. Now if it's CA, later on down the road, if you want to remove this from the layout and reuse it, you should be able to just flood in some isopropyl alcohol into there and just wait a minute or so and then put a knife in and give it a twist, and it should pop that right off. So that's all the adhesive or assembly that's really required for the tunnel portal by itself. Now if you've gone the extra step and you've ordered yourself a set of the tunnel liners, they're going to come with a filler ring on the front and on the back, and then you might have a single kit or a three pack, and they'll all glue together the same way. To glue the ring on, you're just going to use plastic weld. We're all familiar with that from assembling model kits. You'll just flood that onto the lip of the tunnel liner here and set the ring in place, press it down, and you should be all set and good to go. Now the way you attach that into the back of the tunnel portal is you're going to use a different product. You can still go with the CA in a medium or a thick CA, or you can use something like this. This is another type of model polystyrene, but it's more of a viscous cement versus the very liquid plastic weld. So what this is going to let you do is on the back of your tunnel portal, you'll be able to put in quite a heavy bead of this cement, and it will bite right into that rough texture that's in that channel on the back of the tunnel portal. And then you'll just take your tunnel liner and just press it into that groove, and you're all set. You'll just set that off to the side, probably sitting up like that, and that will dry and cure, and that will be all set to go. Now the retaining walls, all of the assembly of the retaining walls can be done with either CA or plastic weld, your choice. Before you do any of the gluing though, make sure you sand your the mating edges of any of the components that you're working on. They've already got a little bit of a rough texture, but anytime you can add in a little bit more tooth there to give the CA or the plastic weld something else or something a little bit more to bite into, you're just going to get that much better of a joint. Real quick, I'll comment on 3D printers and the fact that they leave what are called layer lines. You have to zoom in pretty close to see some of these layer lines. On the N scale stuff, we've even reduced the size of the thickness of the layers being printed by half in an effort to kind of reduce the layer lines and reduce any of the sanding that you might have to do. When you look at real concrete in the real world, it's never perfect. It's always cracked and broken. And almost always, you'll notice that concrete out in the real world never has a nice square corner. They're always going to put some sort of a bevel on the corner, and you can see that in these photos here. And that's because if they tried to make it perfectly square, it would crack and crumble and break every single time. It just would not be able to hold that corner. So on the models, we can mimic that, and the printer does it for us in some cases where it's just a reality of FDM 3D printing, where it's printing with a round nozzle, so it can't really make a perfect square corner. But we don't want a square corner. We want to kind of knock that edge down to sort of simulate at scale that bevel that we saw in that image there. And you'll find that when you're gluing 3D printed PLA together, the PLA is, for lack of a better term, very thirsty. It seems to drink back the plastic weld solvent here really, really fast. So you're going to have to put it onto both surfaces that you want to glue together, at least until it stops flooding in or being soaked up really, really fast. And once you've got a decent bead on both surfaces, it's a simple matter to just lay them down, press them together, press and hold for a few seconds. The other thing you want to do is, because this finish inlay is removable, it's going to cover up this seam down in here, so we can flood in some more of the solvent down into this joint, and it's going to find its way down into there just with capillary action. It'll sort of disappear down that joint and just help make that a little bit stronger. Again, give that a little press, and there you go. I just want to make a quick note about some detailing that I did on this N-scale tunnel portal, tunnel liner, and retaining wall assembly. You saw this assembly in a still shot at the beginning of this video, and in the beginning of the previous video, the introduction to the retaining wall system. This is up on the N-scale layout behind me. We'll have a layout tour at some point in a future video here. But anyway, the detailing that I added here, so the front of the layout is on this side where you're viewing this assembly right now. If we look at the back side of these retaining walls, there's no wall capping detail. It's just a flat, kind of ugly look on the back of the components. The reason for that is these all print laying flat on the printer bed like this. So that's why there's no detail on the back. I wanted to mimic that wall capping detail on the back side of these retaining walls that's facing the viewer of the layout. So the way that I did that is I just grabbed some evergreen scale models and Plastruct polystyrene strip, the larger one being 0.06 by 0.08 inches, and the smaller one being 0.03 by 0.08 inches. And those were all put on again with the Plastruct plastic weld. You could use CA as well if that's what you're using. If you're doing any scratch building or kit bashing using polystyrene strip like this, don't try to measure and draw a little line and cut each one of these little pieces that you're putting on the back of here. You're almost invariably gonna mess that up. Instead, just take the end of the polystyrene and use your adhesive and just tag it on where you want it to start, and then just let the end run wild off of the piece until the glue dries. And then once the glue is dry, you can come back and just nip off or cut off the excess perfectly flush and carry on that way, and you'll always get a perfect fit. So anyway, that's what I did there to add that detail onto this side of the retaining wall. Now, when I was done that, I was left with some seams still at the top there, so I did a little bit of sanding, but I still needed to fill in some of the gaps so that I wound up with what looked like a solid concrete cap on the top of those walls. So what I did is I had picked up some of this Tamiya putty. It's called Tamiya Basic Type Putty, and all it is it's just meant to fill in little surface imperfections, seams, cracks, things like that. Once it's dry, it dries fairly quickly. You can sand it down, paint it. If you're doing any sort of scratch building, kit bashing, even if all you do is just put together off-the-shelf model kits, this is a great thing to pick up from the hobby store. And while you're down there, these are probably going to be close by. I can also recommend these Tamiya Craft cotton swabs. I'm not sponsored by these guys or anybody else, so you're not going to get on this channel any sort of recommendations for products that I haven't used myself. Likewise, if I've used something and it didn't really work out, I probably won't pull any punches. I'll let you know why I didn't like it. But these are great, not only for what I was using these for, which was applying the putty just where I needed it, but these are awesome for doing any sort of small cleaning, cleaning off locomotive wheels, adding a little bit of lubricant here and there. This particular shape, it's a round sort of a barrel shape, but they also come in a pointed, they're almost like a Q-tip, but they're hard. These don't shred and come apart and leave little bits of cotton everywhere on your layout. I've even used these dipped into IPA or odorless mineral spirits, and then poke it down between the turnout points and twirl it around, and it cleans those out really well. It gets any paint or oxidization or just that black gunk out of there as well. They're not really expensive, but these aren't free either. And I caught myself doing this too. I would use one of these and I would throw the whole thing out. Instead, if you just use the one side, just cut off the end that you used and throw that away and put the leftover stick back in the bag, and save yourself a little bit of money there. So that's going to do it for assembly of the tunnel system. This assembly has been primed and is ready to go for paint. So that's going to be our next video, is a maybe even a 2-part series of painting the tunnel system. Cheers.